Today, it's going to be a very basic demo on HTML and some concepts behind what it's all about. Okay, so some of you must already be knowing this, but you could always brush up and come up with some questions on the same. Okay, so it all began, as you must be aware, with HTML internet around 30-40 years back. Okay, and you must be knowing who has invented the net. Percy, one person by name, and it all was a big change after that. Okay, so we had this HTML develop on its own for a while, and then we had like HTML5 added later on with more and more attributes. So what we'll do is we'll just write one page with HTML on a notepad, and I'll explain the concepts one by one as we move along. Okay, so I'm just going to open one notepad, which is all you need to do for writing HTML codes, right? Start with HTML. And you close the tag. Okay. This is hypertext markup language. And if this file is saved with extension .html or .htm, it can be opened in a browser. Okay. And what are the different components inside that? These are all called DOM elements. Okay. So you can retrieve all these DOM elements through scripting. So basic HTML is still not, a page is not complete yet. So we have just started with opening page, opening tag and closing. So inside that you have this head. You close the head. And then you have the title of the page. Title of the page is what will be displayed in the taskbar in the top, whatever you type here. And also this is where the search engines will take this information for tagging the pages. So it comes up in search. For example, if these are the tags which you should use for optimizing the search. Okay, and there is meta tags. These are all HTML tags which you can use. It's not mandatory to have all this, but still, it has different various uses. Maybe for search engine optimization, or even to make the page complete. Okay. Then you have inside this head, actually you can have other tags. I'll just bring it down. So inside the head, you can have styles. You can have scripts. Okay. So until in the older browsers, this is not sufficient. If you just put style and you just type some CSS into this, it won't work. Okay, only later browsers, you don't have to specify whether it's a text CSS style sheet. Okay, so older browsers, to accommodate that, you'll have to put type equals text/CSS. Why? Because there are different types of style sheets. CSS is just one of it. There is also, XML style sheets. XSLT is called. So that also can be used. So there are various different kinds of style sheets. So by default, the modern browsers takes, if you don't put this, it will be considered as a CSS style sheet. Okay. We'll come to that. And then scripts, again, here also you don't, in latest browsers, you don't have to specify the type of script, but in older browsers, you have to type. Okay. This is a header section, and inside this, you can also have different meta tags, page transitions, all those things, which you can always refer through. It's like when you open a page, how it should open, whether it should slide from above, slide from down, slide from left, right, or just fade in. All those options are there for setting it in the meta tag. Transition option, page transition options, which I'm not getting into detail. I'm just going through the most commonly used tags over here. Okay. So after the header is over, you just go to the body of the HTML page. Okay. And inside the body, you have the content. Okay. So the content can be just plain text, or you can have tables. These are all. So each table should have a row and a data cell. Close the tags. You can see it's all nested. Once you started the table, you are ending with the table tag after the rows and data cells in it. Okay, this constitutes a container. Okay. So inside this, you can have again different HTML attributes, actually HTML elements. Okay. So where should it come? If it has to be inside the table, it should come inside. The content should come inside table data. Okay. Even if you put something here, it won't be a part of the table. It'll just go out of the table. Whatever. It will be displayed though. The text will be displayed, but it won't be a part of the table.
This will be inside the body tag, right?
Yes, inside the body tag. See, basically this, sorry, I have not put the body tag here, right? Yeah, this should be inside the body tag, but still it will work. See, HTML, unless you put meta tag as strict, HTML here you have to put, you can type the type of HTML document here. So there's a strict mode. And if you don't specify anything, it's not strict. So wherever you put, it will still work. Unless, except for certain tags, like, for example, title, you don't close it, the page won't be visible. Whatever you type inside this won't be visible to when you open the page. It is mandated to close title tag. Similarly, script tag also, if you don't close it, page will be invisible. Whatever content is there inside the page won't be visible when you open it. Even for script also. Okay, so these are mandatory tags. Okay, rest all, if you don't close it also, it's fine. You don't have these tags, it's perfectly fine. Still it will work because we are not specify the document type, and it is loose. It's not strict. HTML is not strict, so that means it will still work. So we'll just save this page. And this type, just note you have to the extension test.html or STM. Both should work. Okay. Okay. Now let's open that page. Okay, so we have seen the content over here. This is the content over here, right? So it's still without any tag, HTML tag, just directly under the body, you have put content, it works, right? So wherever you put, suppose, and we put it over here. still it will display. Okay. So, and for each of these HTML tags within the body, you have, or even for all these HTML tags, there are attributes specific for these HTML and common attributes. So these are all called DOM elements. DOM is document object model. It starts with HTML and goes down header, title, script, header, close, body. These are all DOM elements. So DOM, document object model, is important because that will help uh, in scripting later on. Like when you look at JavaScript or jQuery, it all plays around with HTML DOM. Okay. So if most of these pages, you don't really type out these tags anymore. It all gets rendered through server-side scripting, right? So wherein you can loop through table database contents, and hundreds of tables can be created, automatically. So the scripting, server-side script, the client-side scripting like jQuery or JavaScript allows you to manipulate these DOM elements by fetching the required element the way you want it. Like for example, the first table within this page you want to fetch, it's possible. Okay, or every odd or even table, you can still do that. Or within a table, you color all the even rows as gray and odd rows as blue. Again, those are all possible because it's a document object model, and scripting follows the document object model to retrieve these HTML elements. So what you need to understand here is there is HTML tags in this page, and each tag HTML element will have attributes associated with it. For example, body, it can have BG color because yellow. That's it. This is one of the attributes, and this is common for most of the HTML elements. Most of it can have the same attribute. But what is very specific for a table, for example, cell padding equals 3. I'm just giving an example. So this is very specific attribute to a table. Okay, you can't have cell padding and body. You can still write it, but there won't be any effect in it. Okay. So in HTML, if there is no if it doesn't recognize the attribute, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't throw up an error, of course. Okay, so that is the best part of this, because otherwise there will be a lot of errors that's coming up. Okay.
Mr. Girish, excuse me, sorry to interrupt you. If you don't mind, Girish?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you please execute and show the output for every change that you are making, so that they'll have some, if any startups, they'll have some idea for every change, what is the update going to be there as an output.
Got it. Yeah, understood. Yeah, we'll do that. So every change, just in case I forget, just remind me to reference this page. Okay, so you see this color has changed to yellow. Okay, and we'll see how this matters to a table. We'll put a different color to a table here. So this also can have the same attribute like the body. I'm putting it as a white. I'm changing the color of the table as white. Okay, and table can have borders. Okay, let's just save this and see what happens. See, you can see the table over here with content inside is white and text is black by default. By default, text is black if you don't specify. Okay, and there is a border to it, which is quite thick border. So let's do one thing. We'll add a couple of more cells in it, and so that you know the difference very clearly. First, let's add a couple of rows. I'm just going to copy paste this. Okay, text, and this change the content to text 1, text 2, text 3, text 4. Okay, now let's save and see what happens. So you have rows. So each row has only one table cell in it. Okay. So what if you have another over here? Text 5. Now let's reduce the border to 1, and cell padding, let us make it 1. Let's see how it works now. You can see the difference, right? So what has happened is border is reduced. It's thinner now. And cell padding is 3. What is cell padding? Cell padding is nothing but the space around the text. So if we increase it further, what happens? It will become more legible, right? We'll make it 5. And we'll introduce one more attribute called cell spacing. Make it 3. Now let's see what happens to the page. It's more readable, right? So it's less of clutter now. So these are attributes, table element attributes. Okay, and similarly, I'll put some more attribute elements just for you to be familiar with what all other possible things are. Most common elements I put. Okay, I put a select element. Again, here, if you miss out this closing tag, also it will work. Okay, just for your information. And it doesn't affect adversely on the subsequent element. Unlike this title and script, where if you don't close it, the page won't get displayed. Okay, this is select element. Then we'll have one input element called checkbox. We'll call it checkbox. This will call it as select. Let's call this checkbox. And there is one element that is called line break. For line break, use BR. And you must also notice that some of the elements you can close within that tag itself. You don't have to put, let's say, BR and again like this. You don't have to do that. Okay, you can straight away close it here. Similarly for input also. Within the tag, you're closing it. Okay, but this also will work if you close it like this. This also will work perfect. This is the old method of doing it, but subsequently, you know, this is introduced where it's much more easier to code. Less clutter actually. We can manage with the same lesser data in the page. Okay, checkbox, and let's introduce a radio button as well. Radio. For radio, you can have an ID field. Okay, and name or value. value. Okay. So what is interesting in input field is that name and ID will repeat. Sorry, name will repeat. Name will repeat. ID can be different. I'll tell you why. Value also will change. Okay. And then we'll put a line break. This is radio. This is checkbox we have put already. And one more let's put, that is input type equals text. Text input. Okay, let's see all these changes now. Okay, you can see all these new elements over here. Select box, as you must be knowing, it is we can select one item at a time. Suppose there is a requirement where you want to select multiple items, that's also possible. You just have to change the code slightly. That is, you put this, introduce an attribute called multiple. Okay. Now you can select multiple items from a checkbox, from a select box. Only you have to click on Control button and select it. That is select box with multiple options. And checkbox over here. And radio button, as you can see, you can select only one at a time, right? Because the very purpose of having a radio button is for selecting from a list of items. Okay. Suppose you have 10 items and you want to select 2 of it, not one. Then it is not suggested to use radio. You have to use checkbox or select input field. Okay. Radio is to be used only when there is only one item to be selected. Okay. You can use still. You can create same different name and you can still use it, but that's not the right neat way of using it. So since you have already option, you can select in checkbox. It's better to use that. And input field is where you type in your text input. Okay. So these are the most commonly used elements in HTML as we start with. Okay. And I'm just quickly going to some of the concepts in HTML5. So these were available for use for developers for some time. And then when HTML5 was introduced, it became much more easier. Earlier, like for example, field validation becomes much more easier. Like you'll have to write a JavaScript to ensure that a particular field is not empty, and it's like 5 to 10 line scripting. And then whenever you try to submit a form, then it will check and give you an alert. Okay, this cannot be empty. Okay, so I will introduce a form element here. Okay, so how do you, in HTML5, all you need to do is just put required. That's it. So when you try to submit the form with this field as empty, it won't allow you. It will just throw up an error. We'll try that out. I'll introduce one more this element, input field. Type equals submit. You just note, there are different types we have used now. Type equals radio, type equals checkbox, input field type equals submit. For this, you have to put a value. That's the label of that button, submit button. Save, and just, you can put anything you want there. And I'm closing this input field. Okay. And for a form element, you have methods. Method equals post or get. Okay. I'll get to that. I'll explain what it means, get and post. And there is one more attribute called action, which is where you put the URL. So when you submit this form, it has to go to this particular page. It can be the same page or any other page as well. Okay. Now this method equals post or get means, like, when you use method equals post, whatever is submitted is not visible for the data is not visible to the end user. It'll just get submitted, and the new page, inside the page, you can retrieve it. But if it is get, all this user data will be available in the URL itself. Okay. Let me see. I've saved this file. So you got a save button here. So when I click on this, see, please fill out this field, because I put this as required. Okay. So it's as simple as that for validation. It's simple validations. So this required, you can put in select box also. Okay. So when you submit this form, generally this secure method of secure way of you doing it is using method equals post. Okay. So because if it is a server-side scripting, let's say it takes you to some server-side scripting page, ASP.NET page or PHP page or classic ASP VB page. So whatever the form data that gets submitted, can be processed outside the rendered HTML page. User will not know what is being submitted, what all data is being submitted. It can be processed in the server and then retrieved as rendered as an HTML page. So those familiar with server-side script should be knowing that the secure way of doing this is method equals post. Okay. So for logging in, you won't put get method, because your password needs to be saved, protected, right? So it's always post for logging in. That's it. Any questions you have till so far? Any of you? Yeah. Any clarifications, or am I going too fast, too slow?
It's fine for me, Yush.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's fine for me.
Fine for you. Okay. So I'm going from the basics. Okay. So some of you might be very familiar with this, but you could, it's just a brush up class for you. Okay. So there are what I'm trying to get is, like, there is multiple ways to do the same thing. These are all different options that you need to be aware of. Each of these attributes you need to be aware of, so that you don't have to memorize any of this, but you should be able to know the possibilities, so that when a particular requirement comes, you know how to execute it in the simplest way. Okay. So now let's get into how to style this. Okay, we have created a HTML page with little basic style already in place. We have put a background color to this, right? So there are different ways of using style sheet and JavaScript, inline script. Okay, so for styles, you can have inline style, or as an external style sheet you can bring in. Okay, inline style is nothing but directly into the HTML element you type in the styles. What we have done here is inline style, bg color equals white. But this also can be written another way. You can put style, because here bg color, if you put, we are again limiting ourselves immediately to just the color component of this table, right? But if you put style equals background yellow immediately you are increasing the scope of the style. You can not only style the color of the back. See, you note that the uh, there is a slight change. It's not BG color anymore. It's background yellow. Okay, there are such slight changes, and we can put font family, for example, along with this font family, say Times New Roman. Okay, so different many styles can be included when you put it this way. Again, this is also inline style. So again, this has got another limitation, that is, this is limited only to this particular table inside this page. That is a limitation of an inline style, right? So how to circumvent that? For that, what you can do is you can move this to the header style here. You don't have to specify style. I'll tell you, there's a slight change in the code again. So here you have to specify the element table, and within the flower brackets you put the style. Oh, sorry, I have put in outside the style tag. You have to put inside the style tag. Okay. So this also will have the same effect as the inline style overall. But the advantage is that you can now, this will have effective on all the tables in the page. All the table element in the page will follow this style, not just one. Okay. So if you want to limit it to one, again, what you can do is you can create an ID for this table. ID equals table 1. Okay. So now this is also limiting to this particular table. Okay. You want to see that in action? I'll just show you 1 minute. So we'll change this to some other color so that it's clear. And let's create one more table down below, which doesn't have that table, that ID. See, this is also a table, this is also a table. But this is taking the background value blue, color blue. This doesn't, because it is tagged to this ID. So suppose what happens if we remove that ID? If we make it common to all the tables. We just remove this and just call it table. You can see this, right? This also is taken as value. Okay. So this is, we have put the style in the header section. So again, this also has got a limitation in that, like, it is limited to this particular page. Okay. So you need another method to call this style in any of the pages in a simple way, just with like one line of code. So for that, you have an external style sheet. Okay. So all you need to do is you create one notepad. I'll just copy this. And just type only this. There's no need to put style, close tag, nothing. Just this, and save it as style.css. Extension has changed now. See? Okay, so this has become a global style sheet which you can call in any page. So similarly, we can define for body. I'll just be the same example here. Okay, here I'm using a tool to open this HTML page, just so you understand that it is the tags are more neatly visible now, right? And also when you type on some, see, immediately you will know what all attributes you can use for body element, right? So that's you don't have to remember any of it, right? Okay. So that's the advantage of using a tool. So here, as I told you, you can define the style for HTML elements directly. Or like, inside this table, you can define it for a row. And for table.tr, say .th. It means inside the table, inside the row, only for table headers, this color should apply. Okay. Similarly, like input, all input fields should take this style. There's a slight variation in the way you, when the code. Based on your experience, you will know how to do it, but you still don't have to memorize any of it. Okay. So all input field inside the page will take this style. Okay. So you have learned today how to write the HTML tags elements and the DOM elements, how it follows, right from HTML header, body, table. These are all DOM elements. And how to style it using inline style and external style sheets. And then you have learned HTML attributes, how each element can have different attributes. Like for example, table element can have cell padding, which is irrelevant for body element, right? So there are specific attributes for particular HTML elements, and there are common attributes which any element can take. Okay, like BG color or background color. Okay, so here it's taken the blue. The input field has taken blue color, and the text is green. If you can notice that. So I'll make this lighter so it'll be easier for it to know. Now it's clear, visible, right? So even the save label also is in green because all these are input fields. Okay. Yeah, I think now I'll wait for you for some questions. Anybody having any questions, any doubts, anything more that you want to know on HTML?
Girish, for the style, actually, if you put it in a different file.
Sorry?
For the style.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the style, if you put it in a different CSS file, is the syntax will be same like table dot? Yeah.
Yes, syntax will be same as what you put in the header. Here we have put some syntax, right? Except inside this, it'll be same as this.
Okay.
In external file, it'll be same as this, except for the style. Style tag is not required if it's an external file.
Okay, because I have seen that Instead of period, table dot, instead of dot, they are putting a space. Is also
Yeah, see, there is a different way to do it. You don't have to specify table also. You just put table row dot th also will work, or just th also will work. All the table headers will take this color. If you put just table, is for this table in general. If you put table row, it's for row, entire row. All the data, so whether it's header or data table cell, will follow this style sheet. And if you put table TD, that is table cell. So all table cell inside this page will have this color.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So could you change that page for me, please? Back to the program. Yeah. Okay. Instead of this, if I repeat the from the TD to the all the way green again, writing the instead of TD, if I write TR, so the row gonna be in different color. And yeah, so if you repeat this thing all the way to the green, what happens?
See, wait a second. This is blue.
Oh yeah.
Blue. Okay. All the table cells inside this is the background is taking as blue. And font family.
What happened if I put TD instead of TR?
TD, where
in the starting, in the beginning.
Here.
Yeah.
This is cell, table cell.
Okay, like the buttons.
No, not the buttons. Buttons are input fields. So table has got all these elements. See, if we can look at this, table is here. You're starting the table and closing the table here, right?
Yeah.
So table row and table data is here. Table cell. TD is a table cell. Inside the table, one cell is TD.
Okay.
Okay. And a table row can have multiple cells in it. Okay.
Okay.
You can imagine an Excel sheet, how it works. So you have a table and then you have multiple rows in it and multiple columns in it, right?
Yes.
So these are columns.
The TD?
No, these are rows. Table row is one horizontal line of data in it.
Okay.
Okay. And if you repeat it row, then you come to the second row of the table. And all these text 1, text 2, text 3, text 4, all are one column.
Okay.
Second column, third column, that way. Vertical. It's exactly like Excel. Okay. And input field is here. Input, 3 different types of input we are seeing. One is radio, one other is checkbox, and then you have got text, and also we have got submit. 4 we have seen here. There's one more, that is a button you can use, but input type equals button. Okay. So here, if you click on this, nothing will happen. Form won't get submitted. Okay. Only if you put type equals submit, the form will get submitted and go to the next page. So button can be used only for clients inside the page. Any manipulation you want to do, you can use button without submitting the form.
Okay, like scrolling.
Yeah, scrolling. Yeah, we haven't seen one more element, that is div. Okay, div has got attributes like right. Div attributes would be see, all these are div attributes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Inside this, we can put style, and each of the attributes you can use and define a value to it. Okay. So you can have background. This is background color. Color would mean text color, whatever type you, the content inside that can take some other value. Okay. So inside this, you can also have scroll equals auto. No scroll or auto you can have. So therefore that you specify the width first. You have to specify the width. Width, if you limit it to 100, and you put say scroll auto, then what happens is if content exceeds this 100 pixels, 100, if you don't put anything, it takes it as a pixel.
Okay.
So what happens is beyond that it will take it, it will automatically create a scroll bar. We'll put content inside this. So this is a div element here, right?
Yeah.
Different color, text color. See, these are the most common elements and attributes you have seen today. There are some more, many more actually. So, but these are the basics. Okay. And similarly, I think we are just restricted to just HTML today. So I'm not getting into scripting part. Okay. So there's one more thing we can see in HTML5, which is which you'll understand how easy it is when you implement. So there is input field, type equals date. Okay. This is HTML5. Let's come over here. Okay, so, and also what you have to look at is browser compatibility. Okay. So most of these attributes will work in most browsers. You know, except HTML5, this particular Firefox is an older version, so it may not work. So you'll have to open, it might work in Google Chrome, for example. So how to make it compatible? So as you know, multi-browser compatible. For that you have what do you call AngularJS? You have a jQuery. So you use scripting libraries, which already takes care of browser compatibility. See here, this is a classic example. The HTML5 date doesn't work in Firefox, a particular version, but in Google Chrome it works, right? You just have to type date and it's coming date. So to make this happen, you had to write some like earlier, like 50 to 100 lines of code in JavaScript to make this happen. Okay. With HTML5, you just have to specify the type as date. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Any more doubts you want? Yeah. Is it clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm stopping here now. So I still open to questions. You can ask any more questions you have.
I have a query.
Yeah.
Is there any tag to display today's date? It's mentioned in the standard, right? Month,
Yeah.
day, year, like that. Is it possible to
Yes, yes.
Today's date like that.
Yeah, that is scripting actually.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
That is JavaScript. You can like normally it takes. I'm not getting into scripting today, but I'll just show you this particular script. So here inside this we are not gone in, right? Inside this you can write JavaScript. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say you write a function called date. Okay. Once you have done this, then you can specify, fetch an element and assign the date to that element. Like document dot. This is just one way of doing it. There's so many other ways of doing the same thing. Say equals today. I hope you follow the logic is clear, right?
Yeah.
So in JavaScript, you can define a variable using this.
Yeah.
VAR today. Variable name is today equals new date. And what we are doing is we are fetching an element with an ID, which has an ID called test1, and assigning that value as today's date. So this will give you a UTC date with a timestamp, basically a timestamp. So for this, you have to again get to that element. You have to assign a ID to a particular element and fetch it. And what would be the trigger? Trigger could be like on load. In the body section, you can put on load equals dt. dt is a function, right? It's a JavaScript function here, right? So on load, when the page is loaded, so this will have a problem. Can you guess what it could be? Because on load, while loading, like moment body tag is written, is fetched, the other elements are still not at loaded, right? Not at loaded. Okay. So what happens is this ID is still not there. It will just get written later on, subsequently only. So on load may not work. Okay, you have to put some other trigger. Like you can put a button, click on that, you get a fetcher today's date. So we'll get into this the next class. Okay, so JavaScript I kept it separately. There's so many other things to look into. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So today just we have briefly covered the HTML and CSS part of it. So I think I'll summarize it. Like your HTML tags and DOM, document object model we have seen, and attributes for each and every HTML element. The most common HTML element we have looked into, and each HTML element can have different attributes and common set of attributes also. And we have seen the best way of using input fields. Text, checkbox, select. These are all input fields. And submit also is an input field. Button we have seen. How button and submit is different. And form, we have seen form, get and post method. Okay, how is it different? So how post is a more secure way of transferring data through the net, unlike get. We didn't get into details, but we have discussed all this. And the styling of the HTML page using inline styling as well as external file. Okay, all this we have seen today.
Girish, one question actually.
Yeah.
Is the all latest versions of all browsers support HTML5?
Yes, all latest HTML tags, all browsers will support. So the only when it comes to scripting and attributes, attributes what you are just now seeing, date, HTML5 is not supported in some browsers, some version of the browsers, but latest version, most of the browsers will support. Okay. And there are so many thousands and thousands of attributes. It is practically not possible to remember which one supports what browser, right? It's impossible.
Okay.
So that is when you get into jQuery and where you have scripting libraries which will take care of all that compatibility issues. And you just have to follow the scripting library. That's syntax. Okay. So you just have to download the latest jQuery, this library, and that will take care of all your browser compatibility issues. But this is important. You need to understand how the JavaScript works, basic syntax, and also that we are not covered JavaScript today, but that is important before you move on to jQuery or AngularJS, where the basics will be clear. Okay, any more questions, or is it? Are we all through?
No.
Okay. So it was good talking to you all. We hope to meet again from tomorrow.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Anything else from your end?
Yeah, guys, hope we are done for today. Any questions, please?
No.
No, nothing.
Yeah, thank you very much. And same time tomorrow. Is that okay? The time works for everyone, right?
Yeah.
9 a.m. IST.
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah, good. So we'll meet same time tomorrow. And the
9 a.m.
session would be same time, weekly 5 days.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. So
Thank you very much
yeah.
for being with me, all of you. Thanks, Girish. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This session is recorded and will be shared to you privately, maybe by the end of the day.
Okay.
I'll upload it in Vybhava Technologies and share that with you for your reference and practice.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. And from tomorrow, Girish will share you some assignments, small assignments, like a small task, so that you can have all of the things to get continued with the work.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Okay, Girish?
Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Okay.
Have a nice day.